Hello and welcome to Notice Tonight, the show that decodes the region. This is Wasbir Hussain. Netas all over India are terribly busy people, and the Northeast is no exception. Irrespective of whether they are from the ruling party or the opposition, political leaders in the region always seem to be engaged in various issues, mostly political in nature. If it is Assam, they are busy backing or opposing issues like CAB or NRC, that is the Citizenship Amendment Bill or the NRC. In Meghalaya, they are busy with inner line permit or other matters like mining and so on. In Manipur, it is the opposition to the possible adverse impact of the Naga peace deal. In Nagaland, it is of course backing the peace efforts. The list is long. But development is never on the top of the agenda of these netas, and one hears about developmental issues mostly during elections. Now, the region also has umpteen student groups who say they are non-political organizations. But viewers, how many student groups have you seen pushing the development issue? Isn't it true that most student groups champion political agenda, political issues, because that concerns the future of a place and its people? But that is also true. But it is also true that lakhs of young men and women are unemployed in the region, and therefore development and progress are extremely important. And then, how are we gearing up to take advantage of our activist policy that is supposed to boost connectivity with our Southeast Asian neighborhood? Well, to discuss the issue, I am joined from Guwahati by former Assam Chief Minister Mr. Tarun Gogoi and veteran Congress leader. In Shillong, I have Ms. Patricia Mukhim, editor of the Shillong Times and a very well-known commentator. In Itanagar, I have Mr. Jarpum Gamlin of the National People's Party. In Kohima, I have Mr. Supuni Philo, Assistant General Secretary of the Naga Students Federation. I am also joined by Professor Akhil Ranjan Datta, well-known commentator and professor at Guwahati University. And our studios, I have Assam BJP spokesman Mr. Rupam Goswami and Dr. Sriparna Barua, very well-known development expert who is the head Center for Industrial Extension and Consultancy at the Indian Institute for Entrepreneurship, Guwahati. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Notice Tonight. First, I'd like to go straight to you, Mr. Tarun Gogoi. What do you have to say? Why do you think development or the development discourse never tops the agenda of the political class? We see people discussing on CAB, we see people discussing on NRC, either opposing or supporting it. In Meghalaya, as I said, it is inner line and mining issues. In Nagaland, it's the Naga Peace Accord and so on. But no one talks about development, the manner that it should get the focus. That is not the case. What do you think, Mr. Tarun Gogoi?
No, that's the reason for which we give the topmost priority for the development. If you see the last 15 years, all the development that have been taken place during that time period.
Right.
Before that
right.
also, you see government that didn't give much importance for the economic development, for social development, even for the roads.
Yeah.
Even we didn't have even secretariat also. We are just having in a gudams of a tea warehousing gudam. We didn't have a secretariat. We didn't have a good what you call university buildings. We didn't have a good educational institution. There were how many roads were there? How many what you call overbridges were there? How many sports complexes were there? All these, even the secretariat, whether you call administrative building. So that's right, not that we didn't give any importance to development. Only development is bring peace. Only development will bring employment opportunity to the younger people. And it is a development which has brought down the insurgency. It is not because of this law and order or because of the army. It is because of the development that we brought during our tenure. It has brought completely down to the insurgency.
Okay.
So accordingly, I feel more. Everybody should give more importance. Yes, other issues are also there.
All right, Mr. Jarpum Gamlin, Mr. Jarpum Gamlin, That basically is the problem. Veteran Congress leader Mr. Tarun Gogoi, one of the senior most political leaders in the northeastern region, you said, during our tenure we did this, but the the moment we were out of power, nothing is happening. So that is the sense. Isn't that the problem? The politics of development takes precedence over development itself. While there is politics of development, the real development does not take place. Do you agree as a politician, Mr. Jarpum Gamli? That's the problem, according to me.
See, yeah, you are right. You know, exactly when we start comparing one over another, that becomes a problem. But see, what we need is a continuity in the development process. Now, for instance, what I think is, number one, what is the key areas that need to be developed in Northeast? See, when we talk in terms of development, it needs to impact the economy. It needs to improve the human development index. It needs to develop the education, the system. Now, whole point, you know, irrespective of, instead of taking credit here and there, my point is the biggest challenge for Northeast today, or any part, but especially Northeast, is a governance system that we need to streamline. You know, I honestly feel
we need to streamline. I'll come back to you, Jarpum, but answer this question. Answer this question. You know, there is no point in trying to, you know, score brownie points and blame previous governments and the other political party. Why can't the political parties work together at least on a common minimum program for development? That is what the Northeast needs. Jarpum.
That's precisely my point, but he is such a senior gentleman, so I don't want to counter him in that fashion. But you're right that we don't need to say that, you know, this party and that party, but development is for the state, for the whole region.
All right. All right.
But
yes.
My point is, we need to focus.
We need to focus.
Key strength areas. Let me complete a point. Yeah, focus the point. Okay. Now, for Assam, what is important? See, for me, Assam is the commercial hub. Yeah. Arunachal, what is important? The tourism side. Right, Meghalaya, tourism. Right. Sikkim is organic side.
Right.
Organic,
Doctor,
you know, vegetable.
Yeah, hold on,
so
hold on your thoughts. Let me
like
get the opening remarks. Let me get the opening remarks from all our panelists. Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, why is it that, you know, the development discourse does not consolidate? You know, we have so many student groups also. They claim that they are non-political organizations, but they also talk about only push political issues that are political in nature. They don't talk about development. They don't talk about higher education. I'm talking generally. I'm not saying that they don't talk at all. Yeah. They talk. They do talk, but not the scale in which one would expect them to talk. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you are absolutely correct in you know, understanding the current situation. But we need to you know, focus on the kind of politics which is happening here. The kind of politics which is happening here, I have been telling that there is complete political bankruptcy and ideological bankruptcy. The political agenda on the part of the governments and the mainstream political parties have been to generate or produce kind of obsessive communities. For example, look at Assam. Assamese have also become an obsessive community. We are running after NRC, we are running after CAB, we are, you know, are running after identity and so on and so forth. In such a situation, even civil society organizations have also not talking about development defined in terms of people's entitlement. Not the government has not been talking about development. They have been talking about activist policy. They have been talking about privatization. They have been talking about beneficiary schemes. But the point to be kept in mind is this, that these kind of policies and propaganda doesn't really help out the people to have sustainable means of livelihood, sustainable employment, even sustainable ecology and so on and so forth. I think that is the critical issue that we need to address.
That is the critical issue. I'll come back to you in a while. Mr. Rupam Goswami, I'm coming to you. Ms. Sriparna Barua, Dr. Sriparna Barua, I'm coming back to you. I'm coming to you. Rupam Goswami, you know, political bankruptcy. But, you know, your party, the BJP, talks about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Viswas. Now, the point is, if you have a holistic overall development, this should be political class, I'm not talking about, this is not a BJP Congress debate. I'm asking a general question as to why the political class talks about development mostly during elections. Why is it that impression? What can you do to remove this impression in the minds of the people and talk about real development?
Mr. Wasbir, you really, today's discussion is something unique, and I'm really thankful to you. Definitely, the main focus point should be the development for any reason, not only Northeast, any region of India. Development is the core agenda through which the society can grow or society can achieve something. And BJP is the only party who talks about development, who really fought election on the issue of development. Because we believe until unless you develop the people, the country will not grow. So that's the reason even our Honorable Prime Minister, his basic concept, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and with now is Sabka Vishwas. So we are really carrying this campaign because even this time also, you just look at our development agendas. We talk about the look is policy,
Right.
then act is policy, then again.
No, we'll expand. We'll expand on those.
Yeah.
But basically, the important point that BJP spokesperson from Assam, Mr. Rupam Goswami, is making is that the BJP is giving a lot of importance. That's why the slogan itself is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. I'll come back to you and expand on this. Ms. Patricia Mukim, why do you think development or development discourse never tops the agenda of the political class? What are your thoughts on this? You have heard some of the other panelists. What do you think?
Well, look, the idea of democracy in our country seems to have failed us because the moment elections are over, we all withdraw. We withdraw from taking active part in democracy. And we think that politicians on their own will form a government, will also take up on priority the issues of development. I don't think it works that way. I feel now that every state should have its think tank, which is non-governmental, which has the teeth to push for development issues, and which will.
All right. Very important point is that the moment elections are over, we withdraw from democracy. I think you are trying to say, Ms. Patricia Mukim, that we means everybody, the political class, the people, the electors, everybody withdraws from democracy. I'll come and expand on that with you in a moment. Mr. Supuni Philo, I'm coming to you, but Dr. Siparna Barua, as a development expert, what would you expect to be the ideal situation? As you know, the theme of the debate, asking the question why the political class does not, continuously hammer on this issue of development, and why do we hear the development slogans only, promises only during elections? And we have also said that we have so much of student groups, but they mostly also push political issues are always tops their agenda as well. What do you think as a development expert?
See, the two prerequisites of development are connectivity and infrastructure.
Yeah.
So most of the political parties, I wouldn't be biased towards anyone, have been playing on this plank. That, when we're looking at Northeast, we're trying to focus on connectivity and infrastructure. But per se, only through connectivity and infrastructure development, infrastructure creation, development doesn't take place. What is required is a holistic perspective. I mean, how do people take advantage of supposing even connectivity is happening? So what is the strategy next? That connectivity is happening, we are connecting to remote areas of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, etc. But what happens? Yes, little development takes place because of the connectivity, people have some services developed. But when we are looking at Southeast Asia, when we are looking at activist policy, there has to be some pockets where entrepreneurship happens, and through which development happens when entrepreneurship happens.
Absolutely.
If you look at history, all development has happened because of entrepreneurial,
So these are the things that we want. We don't want politics of development. Is that what?
Exactly.
So the politics of development we can wait, for some other time. But what we need, what we need from our lawmakers, from our elected representatives, as well as from people in the opposition political parties, is that don't do politics of development. Concentrate on real development. Let me go to Supuni Philo. Mr. Supuni Philo is the Assistant General Secretary of the Naga Students Federation, joining me from Kohima. Supuni, what is your take? You know, the common perception, I am not saying that this is the last word, I am saying that the perception is that the student organizations in the Northeast, I am not talking only about NSF, I am talking about generally, student organizations say that they are non-political organizations, but most of your issues that you take up are political in nature and development is not one of them. So, how do you respond, Mr. Philo?
Wasbir, let me set to rest this assumption that the student bodies are very political in nature. We are apolitical in nature, and I want to set this straight once and for all. Taking the example of the Naga Students Federation.
I have heard it. I have heard that you means not NSF.
Yes,
I'm saying that student organizations are always saying that they are non-political, but most of the issues they take up are political in nature. That is the only thing I'm saying. Yes, please respond. Yeah.
I want to set this myth to rest by taking the example of the Naga Students Federation. The NSF was formed in the year 1947 to uphold the Naga identity and also to look into the welfare issues of the students' community. When we talk about NSF being founded on the basis of upholding the identity of the Nagas and also take up the issues that confronts the student community, we are functioning is not unidirectional; it's multidirectional. Our focus on development, talking about development, our focus on development is on human resources capital development. For instance, recently the Naga Students Federation fought against the state government of Nagaland to set up SSB, which is a self-selection board, in order to promote meritocracy and also do away with rat tapism in the job market. We have achieved minimal success when the government set up a 3-member committee to look into the welfare of for setting up of SSB.
Yeah.
So my question to you now is are the students not concerned about development? The other is, are we being
true?
Apolitical?
But my counter question,
no matter which party comes to power, yes.
My counter question is, when have we seen last time? When have we seen a mass agitation in the Northeast for asking for higher education facilities? When have we saw a mass agitation in the Northeast against corruption? When have we seen a mass agitation in the Northeast against in favor of infrastructure development by the student groups? Yes, we have seen student groups agitating for or against CAB. We have seen student groups taking to the streets on every political issue. But there has been no agitation by student groups in the Northeast for higher educational needs, against corruption, in favor of infrastructure development. Look at the roads in Kohima. The roads in Nagaland have been absolutely pathetic. Has the NSF ever taken to the streets demanding better facilities for the Naga people who they well deserve?
Let me respond to you in this manner, Wasbir. Allow me to respond to you in this manner. The Naga Students Federation comprises of 17 federating units spread over different states, including Assam, Manipur, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, and we all even have our subordinate bodies in the state of Myanmar. There are times when the federation directly does not take up issues, developmental issues confronting the society, but we do it in such a manner that we issue directives to our federating units to take up issues, developmental issues that confronts the state and also the society. For instance, the railway connectivity in the state of Manipur is been overlooked by the ZSUM, which is Jalarung Students Union Manipur, which is one prime example as to how the student bodies are equally concerned about the development while pushing our issues forward.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Mr. Torun Gogoi, Mr. Gogoi, the general allegation against politicians is that they talk about development only during elections and not generally. Do you agree that compared to political issues, development does not really get priority among the political class?
You see, the BJP, yes, they talked of development during election, they forget. But this is not the Congress. You see the difference between the UP government too, and you see the present government. how the economy has gone down, how the development has gone down, how manufacture has gone down, how the, what you call, whether it is a automobile industry or any other industries, manufacturing industries. Even today I have seen the, what you call, the electricity.
Yeah.
Electricity consumption has gone down. It should go up. Yeah? What is the yardstick of a development of a country? Yeah? The consumption of electricity, if they goes up, if the manufacturing industry goes up,
yes, but
if the exports going up, these are the indication of economic development. Whereas you see the difference,
True.
UPA 2 government and now the Modi government, who talks too much about economic
but Mr.
development.
Gogoi,
Sabka Saath, Sabka
Mr.
Vikas,
Gogoi, you
but
see,
in the field, just the opposite.
no, Mr. Gogoi, this is not about Congress or BJP. The question is not about Congress or BJP. My question is, do you think all political parties should rise to the occasion and make development an important issue, or for that matter, the prime issue? Because Northeastern region is a region that lacks development, that is poor in infrastructure. Do you think political parties can close ranks, at least on one issue, you can rise to the occasion, Mr. Gogoi?
No, all parties. That's why I say we give it. It is the BJP, they are not giving it. That is the my grievance. Even the AGP also didn't give it. You compare it, see the AGP's rule, BJP's rule, Congress rule,
Okay.
and see the development. And when all these industry came up, whether it's a gas kicker, whether it's a Nimoligarh refinery, whether in Guwahati refinery, whether
Okay.
all these industries, even the paper mills, all came during our time. And now today everybody, one is going to close by, not only close, it is going to be privatized also, even the airport also, that international airport, Guwahati airport also.
All right,
that
all right.
came up in such a
I'll
way,
have to take a
making
response
profit.
from...
Now they are going to privatize. Who is doing?
Okay, Mr. Rupam Goswami, I'm coming to you, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, Ms. Patricia Mukim, Supuni, I'm coming back to you as well. But Mr. Rupam Goswami, is it a question of blaming each other? My question is, same question goes to you. At least for the sake of development, can the political parties in the northeastern region, Assam included, can you not come together and come up with some common minimum program?
Actually, I'm not here to give comments on the blame game. And Mr. Torun Gogoi, with due respect to him, he always speaks a blame game, whatever is the reason. But he should remember, in the whole country, they have ruled the country more than 60 years, even in the Assam also. So it is their part. So they should look Assam where they have kept. In 1947, 1 rupee is equal to $1. So where they have taken this economy to which place?
No, please answer my question.
Definitely.
Let's
I'm
not
answering
go
your
into that.
questions also.
Please answer
I'm
whether
answering
political
your
parties can
questions.
close ranks, come together.
Definitely.
Please answer that.
Definitely, for the development agenda, we should be one. Across India, not only of Assam, across India, we should work together for the development agenda. And when the election comes, then there will be some issues who works, how
I
much,
think
then
that is
the
a very
different
important
issue.
statement coming from the BJP spokesman, that not just in Assam, but there is a possibility, and he's saying that they should come together for development of the country. I'll go for a break, but before that, very quickly, Ms. Patricia Mukim, what are your thoughts? Ms. Patricia Mukim, development only an election issue? What do you think?
Elections, yeah, because we are being fooled again and again, and politicians see that we don't take any interest beyond the elections. We are like that. Just look at all of us. Do we become so enthusiastic about anything once the elections are over? We all seem to participate in the election as a sort of a mela, and once that is over, we just fold our hands and we think, oh, the government will do everything. It doesn't work like that. Everything has to be participatory. Governance is participatory, and development must be spelled out by people, because even in a state, every
Okay, Ms. Patricia Mukim, hold on. I'll come back to you. On that note, I go for a short break, but don't go away. I'll come back after this very short commercial. Welcome back. Sriparna Barua, I'm coming to you, Jarpom. Sriparna Barua, do you think there is too much of hype on the Northeast? Do you think there is too much of hype on the Act East policy? Because, you know, when we talk about development, we immediately talk about the Act East policy. But what do you think? How is it linked to development?
Yeah, I think there's too much of a hype on, you know, focusing on Northeast. While there's a positive side to it, that Northeast is finally getting its importance. People are realizing there's a place called Northeast. But then there's, in hindsight, what is happening is Northeast, of course, we are all 8 states. We are all looking at Northeast as one particular state. There are a lot of differences, and which actually mars the development process. Because what has someone coming to Assam saying that, you know, I've gone to Northeast doesn't necessarily mean what is happening in Arunachal and what is happening in Assam is the same. So while Northeast as an entity is important, but differences among states is also important if we look at development. Because what is happening is there are resources, there are possibilities.
Yeah, but how do you link Act East and development?
See, Act East, we are getting connected, and there's a hype again on Act East, but what are we going to gain out of Act East? I just want to know, where is the development pockets? What are we going to market to rest of Southeast Asia? Where are our production bases? Now, if we look at our production, we are basically a rural economy. So we have to look at rural enterprises. We have to look at clusters. If you look at the entire Southeast Asian
whether
country,
these things have been identified or not, who is looking into these aspects?
so
That
what
is the
is
primary
happening?
question.
What is happening is these are all, you know, becoming like silos. Someone is looking at rural development becomes totally, that it can be integrated, that can be entrepreneurs connected to these pockets, and they look at these as production bases, start marketing. There can be technology which comes into these rural pockets. Now,
Okay.
So that is where the holistic
So the
approach
real
is
development,
required.
Japom, as Dr. Sriparna Barua from the Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship, you know, day in and day out, she's working with the real entrepreneurs. Now, politicians, you included, my question is, don't take it personally. This is just trying to reinforce my point. Basically, why I am asking you this question is that is there need to relook by the political class? You know, the politics of development is becoming much bigger than the issue of development itself. Nobody is thinking about how to train up entrepreneurs, how to build up an entrepreneurial class, and then keeps on talking about Act East policy at every possible opportunity.
Absolutely, I think there's no shame in admitting it. See, point is, you know, I can give you an example. All the infrastructural growths are important, but we need to prioritize what we need. Say, for instance, on the northern bank of Brahmaputra, we don't have a single airport even today, right? Be it Tejpur, it's hardly there. Lakhimpur, hardly there. Arunachal, completely nothing is there. But we have developed advanced lending grounds which are operational, but operational for what purpose? So we need to prioritize our development. That's number one. Number two, there is too much of emphasis on entrepreneurship also has a limit. My point is, entrepreneurship for what? And where do you market the product, right? So long as we keep on emphasizing on informal economy, see, we are looking at a slow growth of economy. That means there's a high level of unemployment. You know, all kinds of, say, for example, vendors, contractors,
Okay.
these are informal economies.
Yeah.
But like Dr. Ma'am just said, we need to focus, we need to create hubs, we need to create a special economic zone, we need to, you know, my saddest part is, look at Bangladesh.
Yeah.
What's so different between
Yes.
Bangladesh and northeastern region? You know, topography-wise, geography-wise, almost similar. But Bangladesh has taken over the Indian subcontinent in terms of economic growth. See, if Bangladesh can achieve that kind of growth,
So we
why
need to
can't
relook.
we as a whole
We need
Northeast
to-
can
we
do the
need
same
to
thing?
relook. That
So
is what-
therefore,
Yeah.
we need to, as a politician, I can concede one thing, that we lack vision, right?
Lack vision.
for growth.
Vision is the
Growth in economic sense.
Vision, the
in
need of
every
the hour.
aspect.
Jarpum
Yeah,
Gamlin, hold on.
absolutely.
Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, yes, you want to come in. Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, yes, come in.
Yes. I think it will be very important to understand that there is a difference between government defining development and the common people defining development. I think that differences has to be drawn by the academia, by the social activists, by the NGOs, and so on and so forth. Dr. Sriparna Barua has mentioned one very critical thing as far as activist policies are concerned. The government has been talking about development, government has been talking about infrastructure. However, government has not been talking about developing the capacities of the common people to cope up with the situation. If you look at trade and commerce relationship between Northeastern region and the Southeast Asian countries after the Act East or Look East policy, even Myanmar is doing good in terms of importing commodities, exporting their commodities to Northeast India, but Northeast India has not been benefited in terms of exporting their commodities to Myanmar. Forget about other developed Southeast Asian countries. Therefore, my concern is the Act East policy has to facilitate the development of the capacities of the common people and also
That is
the
the key,
local
but
market.
that is
Unless
the
and
key.
until we can do
That
it,
should
yeah.
be the key. Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, that should be the key. But really we don't know.
Yeah.
You see, Assam has an Act East policy department or a cell. I think it's a department. Now the point is, that's fine, that's a very good thing, but we don't know what action is being taken by the state governments in the Northeast to train up people
No, government is not
to
government.
provide
Just
value
give me a
addition,
minute.
marketing
Just
techniques.
give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. The
Very
government
quick.
has been talking about development. They have been talking about development in two terms. Development in terms of GDP and development in terms of creating chronically dependent beneficiaries. Look at the Assam budget. Look at the Union government budget. They have been talking development in terms of beneficiaries, dependent beneficiaries.
So
That is not going to help out the common people.
Development aimed at creating chronically dependent beneficiaries will not help. That is what you were saying, Akhil Ranjan Datta.
Beneficiaries.
Development creating chronically
yes,
dependent
right.
beneficiaries will not help. Anyway, Mr. Supuni Philo, how can a student organization like you cooperate and contribute? How can a student group like the NSF contribute in bringing about holistic development? Do you think it is possible for a student groups in the Northeast to work in collaboration with the state governments and come up with a development vision? It is not that student groups are at loggerheads with the state government. No, that is not the case. My question to you is simple. How can you collaborate or cooperate, jointly work together with the state governments in the Northeast for development of the region?
Wasbir, any change that results in the growth of the society should be welcomed. And NSF has a long history of together working with the government of various states, wherein the policies pertinent, the policies being framed by the various state governments are in tune and in line with for the welfare of the people. We have time and again been a part of the implementation process of various policies also, because we genuinely felt that anything that will bring in positive development in our society should be welcomed. But we have to maintain a balance at times, because there are certain issues that needs to be solved first before we look up and then talk about development,
Right.
which is from the physical point of view.
All right. I think that's a very nice way of putting it, Supuni. Ms. Patricia Mukim, do you agree that student groups now Supuni Philo, the Assistant General Secretary of the NSF, has said that NSF has a long history of working with the state governments, and anything positive in society needs to be welcomed. But do you agree that student groups can do much more? They do not talk about development that they should, to the extent, we are not very, we're not saying that they're not taking up at all, but perhaps not to the level. What do you think, Ms. Patricia Mukim?
No, we have found from experience that all students' bodies are only interested in opposing certain facets of development. Opposing the railway lines, opposing this, opposing that, and without any alternative solutions. Now, many times I have written this, that if you say you don't agree with a certain form of development, then you should have enough data, enough work done, enough scientific evidence to come up with an alternative plan. Otherwise, you have no right to put the spokes in the wheels of every development plan.
No, but Ms. Patricia Mukim, are you trying to then say that these pressure groups, are retarding development in the Northeast? Can pressure groups not work in cooperation with the government, at least on some issues? Patricia.
Yeah, because these people have been given the space, all political parties and all governments. They're so afraid of being put on the mat by these pressure groups or interest groups that they just sort of, they capitulate to the demands of these groups. For instance, in Meghalaya now you have the Meghalaya Resident Safety and Security Act, which to me is a knee-jerk reaction to the CAB that people are so afraid of. Now you need to come up with better solutions. Protectionism beyond a point works negatively for the state and its people. So this is where we are stuck now. You don't have a real plan of action. You don't have a roadmap that you want to share with the people. Now the MDA government here in Meghalaya is a coalition government. So you need a minimum, convergence point between the different parties. You need every group has its own manifesto. Now, what did they say in that manifesto? Are all the points in those manifestos being looked after?
Okay.
Yeah. So a common minimum program is what should have come up at the first
common minimum program. So
Patricia
Mukim is talking about common minimum program for development where everybody is on board, whether it is the ruling party, whether it is the student groups and others. So that is, I think, a very interesting suggestion. Common minimum program for development in the Northeast is a necessity. Now, Mr. Torun Gogoi, you blame the BJP, BJP will blame you, and in the process, politics of our development gets bigger. Not real development. This is the point that I have been trying to emphasize and get a response from you, Mr. Torun Gogoi.
But see the field. No. Yes, they are blaming. They say they have not done anything. You see the field. They are bluffing all these things. They are bluffing. I am telling the truth. Let them give a white paper. Let the BJP give a white paper. I want it. Let Sonowal give a white paper that they have done much better than what they have done last 3 years. They are going for all these what you call big international games for, they say. The PM is also coming. But who build this infrastructure? From January they are going in. Prime Minister is going to have some Kel or Samaru or somebody instead of talking about national games.
Okay.
Who build all these infrastructure? I'm not telling the blaming. I'm challenging them. That should be the competition. Yes. Let them blame also. Let there be a competition between these two political parties. Who can deliver better, who can bring more development. You see, yes, economic development has been lagging behind, and who withdraw all these initiatives? It is the BJP government, and
I'll have to
special status of Assam they have withdrawn also. And so that's the reason there should be competition between political parties. I am not blaming others.
Okay, Mr. Torun Gogoi, hold on. Rupam Goswami, Mr. Torun Gogoi is asking for a white paper on development from your government. He's saying that a lot of the infrastructure was built during the Congress time. If Mr. Sonowal and his government is claiming development, fine, let them claim. But please present a white paper. That's what he's basically saying.
Now, we have no issues to give a white paper on it, but rather that I want to ask Mr. Gogoi that during their tenure, did they ever come with any white paper that what are the development they have done for the Northeast or maybe for the whole of India as a Congress team I'm talking about, or Assam. So anyway, but I want to tell you something else, Mr. Wasbir, to make this today's debate a positive.
Yeah.
Like actually the people of Northeast have a mindset of job seeking, not a job creators. we have a, from the, after the independence, because prior to independence, our GDP was much more bigger and strong. After the independence, because of the chicken neck,
Yeah.
we are bound to go for a job seeking for after the government job or maybe private job. So we doesn't have a mindset to be an entrepreneur.
So I think
that is the biggest silence before us.
Sriparna Barua, I'd like you to develop on what very important point which Mr. Rupam Goswami said, that Northeast people in the Northeast are job seekers, not really job creators. But before you have to answer that question. But before that, if you go by the statement from some of the political leaders, Jarpom, I'm coming to you for a response on that. You get a sense that to work in the development sector, is it statements like this, blame game? Do you think that is one of the biggest hurdles?
That's one of the biggest hurdle. And you know what, the topic which we were saying, the student unions, instead of talking about political issues, if they start questioning about development issues, that would be the answer actually. And that is what we require. See, every state now is realizing that we need to focus on entrepreneurship, and there's a lot of trust even on skill development.
Yeah.
So while there are a lot of black holes in skill development, etc., in terms of understanding what are the skilling needs, here if the students' body can come in and question and look at what are the local perspectives, what can happen in their locality, in their area, these could be some of the answers which can actually come in. So student bodies need to be very, very proactive on development issues. That is one. Secondly, to answer your question about taking from where Rupam Goswami had left, entrepreneurship, yes, people do not have a mindset, but there's also a realization that getting a job is not easy. So within, getting a job is not easy. So what is happening is some sort of a mindset. What if I look at our experience, even last 10 years, there's been slight change in the mindset, and we need to.
I just want to add something. Getting a job is not easy. Is not that. There are not enough jobs.
There are not.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a key.
Getting enough job.
There is not enough job in the government sector, neither in the private sector. So
Right.
you have to be an entrepreneur to
So
survive
that realization,
in this world as on date.
So that realization is slowly coming, and we need to capitalize on that. And one way to capitalize on that is to have a holistic strategy. Is start entrepreneurship at the school level. Even at the school level.
Start entrepreneurship at the school level.
Yes.
And then take it to the college and the university. We do so much of research.
I think that is a very important point which Sriparna Barua is making. I'm coming to you, Jarpom, but before that, very quickly to you, Supuni. There is our panelist in the studio, Dr. Sriparna Barua, is saying that the student groups should start questioning the government on development. Keeps a hawk's eye. Look more closely on development issue. Act as some kind of a monitor to look into the development issues. Do you think you can do that?
Wasbir, I can't speak for other students' organization, but as for NSF, we have our priorities set very clearly. No doubt, development of physical development of the state of the various states forms one of the core agendas of our federation. But as I've stated earlier, our primary focus is the human resource capital development of the students.
Yeah.
And rightfully, she has pointed out that entrepreneurship and then job training is the need of the hour in order for true development to take place. And NSF has been earnestly working towards ensuring that government brings about policies which will ensure that there is proper training of our human resources.
Right.
We have never shied away from,
let me take this. Yes, hold your
from
thoughts.
talking about developmental issues.
Right.
And we will continue to ensure that, yes.
Right. Mr. Gogoi, are you happy with the role of the student groups in the northeastern region? You have been dealing with them during your entire tenure as chief ministers. You have faced opposition from them in certain places. You must have also got a little bit of cooperation. What do you have to say? Why do they not raise development issues? Why they only talk about political issues? Mr. Gogoi.
You see, they should raise, but it is up to them. Yes, they should raise, whether youth, whether social organization, they should talk about more education, they should talk about more employment, they should talk about better educational institution, they should talk about better roads, better bridges, better climate also. Now the climate is polluting, the whole country is now polluting. Even Delhi
Yeah.
has become
Climate
worse.
is a big issue,
Tomorrow
yes.
also, you see, is going to happen in Guwahati also. These are the base issue also. That yes, all the youth organization, other raise also. There is no doubt about it.
No, but they don't raise. The student groups only raise issues that are political in nature, Mr. Gogoi.
Yeah. That's up to them. It is up to them. What can I do? It is not my job. Yes, I want them to also raise it. But it is up to them.
Whether they
If
raise or not.
student don't raise it.
Yeah.
It is up to them. Why they are not
Dr.
raising,
Akhil Ranjan Datta,
I
I'm
don't
coming
know,
to
but
you. Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, I'm coming to you. But before that, Jarpom, you know, in a frontier state like Arunachal Pradesh, where connectivity is a big issue, even 70 years after independence, do you think, are you enthused when you hear about connectivity with Southeast Asia? I mean, does it enthuse you at all? Because connectivity within the state, backward linkages, backward connectivity is so very challenging, if I may use the word, in Arunachal Pradesh even today.
Yeah. In fact, you're correct. Personally, if I have to look at or on behalf of the people of my age, if I have to speak, I'm not really enthused by the fact that, we'll have Southeast connectivity with Southeast Asia because we have our own challenges here. Now, I'll mix my response in the context of student union's role also.
Yeah.
Say, for example, in Arunachal at least, I feel very proud that the student union, they're playing their role to the hilt and they're doing a wonderful job. Say, for instance, the double laning road between Holongi and Itanagar, the road that connects the capital city of Arunachal Pradesh, which was under construction for ages, missed deadline by 3 or 4 times. But the double laning also could not take place as per the DPR. It was the apex student body who took it up with the government and challenged it. And they enforced band also, because until the road is made as per the design, that they will not allow. So finally, government had to roll back and again, start demolishing the infrastructure or the
Yes.
buildings along the roads. So it was under the pressure of the APSU they did it. And secondly, I can give you another instance. Apex student body of a particular community very recently went about village store to check the school infrastructure. After finding it to be of very, very minimum standard, they released the video which has gone viral in Arunachal, where they demanded that government of Arunachal should stop funding festivals. Rather, they should fund the development projects in the schools. They appeal to the
That
chief
is
minister
what is
stop all
expected.
the Tawang festivals, Siang festival.
That is what is expected from responsible student groups. Ms. Patricia Mukim, what about the masses, or for that matter, what about the civil society really? Can the civil society, guide? Can the civil society look into governance issues and raise its voice? Will it help, Ms. Patricia Mukim?
See, now, if we don't participate, if the learned public don't participate in governance, and you think that governance is only about government, then we are wrong. No, then we are also sort of outsourcing all these responsibilities only to people in the government, which is wrong.
I'm running short of time. Patricia Mukim, now, do you think student groups should also rethink their strategies for the Northeast?
No, but why are you talking only about students' groups? What about other civil society groups? Don't they have to have a voice? What about people who are from academia? Don't they have a voice? Should they not have a voice? Why do we have universities for? If all they do is sit in their ivory towers and allow these, immature interest groups and pressure groups to lead us.
Okay.
This is not done actually.
All right, Ms. Patricia Mukim. Mr. Torun Gogoi, final comments from you. Do you think the politics of a development is the biggest political issue in Northeast today?
No, politics of development is number one. Without development, that is not only Northeast, even for the whole country. for the whole countries, and particularly since Northeast is lagging behind for every respect, whether industries, whether employment opportunities, whether connectivity. That's why it should give the topmost priority.
All right, all right. Let's have everybody, let's keep everybody in the screen. Final comments from you, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta, your concluding remarks.
Yeah, I think Patricia has raised a very pertinent question. When we talk about civil society, it is not only the students' organizations, the universities and research institutes also have a tremendous important role to be played. But however, what we have witnessed in the recent decades that universities or research institutes have been far, far away from the common people. There is a huge gap, big wall between the interest of the common people and that of the interests pursued by the universities and research institutes. And I am telling, it is happening not because of the intention or objectives of the research institutes and the universities. It is also happening because of the changing policies of education pursued by the government. But we have to overcome it. I think university and the research institutes have an important role.
I'm running totally short of time. Rupam Goswami, your concluding remarks.
Finally, we have to all work together for the betterment of the society, for the betterment of the state. And really, we have to look into the entrepreneurship, and definitely we have to change our mindset of everyone. Ms. Peterson Mukim rightly said, it is the duty of the all society people, everybody to work together.
Absolutely need to work together. Mr. Supuni Philo, we lost your video, but if you can hear me, can you hear me, Mr. Supuni?
Yes. I can hear you.
Supuni, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, please give your final comments. Please give your concluding remarks very quickly.
Wasbir, it's truly unfortunate and unfair that this show has turned into a...
Okay, we lost the link with Mr. Supuni Philo. Dr. Siparna Barua, what do you have to say in the end? Jarpom, I'm coming to you for your last words.
All we want is a holistic approach. Stop talking about only opportunities. Look at where the opportunities are. Guide people as to where entrepreneurship can happen. And here, academics can play a very big role, bringing entrepreneurship, particularly whatever research we are doing. We look at research from the point of commercialization. Right? So that's where, because we talk about biotechnology, we talk about agro. So if research happens there, appropriate technology happens.
Academia and research, from the drawing board to the field. I think that is what is extremely important. Jarpum Gamling, your final comments.
Yeah, in fact, system structure and processes are in place. 60 years Congress has ruled. They built certain skeletal structure there, and we need to build upon it. And continuity should be kept in mind. That's very important. And secondly, the focus, prioritize. We need to prioritize the developmental part of it also. All developments are important, but we need to prioritize. Like I talked about airport part of it. On Northern Bank, we don't have anything.
Prioritize development.
And in Arunachal, education is another sector. Likewise.
Yes. So Jarpum Gamling's final comment, very important. Prioritize development, keep continuity in the development programs, irrespective of change in governments, and focus on key issues. I think these are very, very interesting comments which has come up during this discussion. And thanks very much for this very, very engaging discussion. I'd like to thank all my panelists and viewers for watching Northeast Tonight. Good night and goodbye.